This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
Good morning and welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. I'm your host, Nate. As always, usually have people with me, but this morning it seems like maniac and everyone went to sleep and did not wake up. So I'm flying solo here today, but we're going to kick it off with something that I've been excited about for the last couple of days since I was able to get an old friend to agree to do this. But we have, for the first time ever on the show, I think that's right, because Bill has never been on the show, and Bill currently technically plays. But we have a OMFL Hall of Famer and multiple Super Bowl winner, but also a guy that is a friend of mine and one of the best radio show, sports talk show hosts that you will ever hear here locally here in New Orleans or anywhere for that matter. Mr. Seth Dunlap. Good morning, Mr. Seth. How you doing this morning, buddy?
Nate, what's going on? That was a hell of an introduction.
Oh, man, it's all true. You are a man of multiple talents. You've got podcast about what's that crazy show that everybody's just Googling over? Game of Thrones, right? He's got the podcast with no name. He does radio shows. He's interviewing Sean Payton. I hear him all the time. You're fantastic. And you actually used to host these shows with me way back in the day.
I did. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was you, me. We used to have everybody there. I think Danny Dunn, DJ Dunn was there.
Win would be on from time to time.
Winovus. I remember Bob a lot.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I got to check out your Hall of Fame, man. See who's in there. I bet there's a lot of my old rivals.
No, you'll definitely see a lot of old rivals on there and some names that you really do recall. But look, catch people up. There's probably going to be a lot of people here in the league who don't know who you are, but tell them a little bit about your background and what you get to do.
Yeah, I'm right now I work in New Orleans, kind of like you said, as a sports talk show host on WWL Radio. So I have my show that is every night, 8 to 11 p.m. I also host pregame shows on the Saints Radio Network. There is some stuff in the works where you may hear me in the Superdome every day. I haven't told you about that yet on Saints game day, doing some PA. So
that'd be awesome. So I mean, you can see each other since I'm always there and I never get to see you.
Yeah, you'll see me or at least hear me in the dome. So it's super busy. I've worked in the sports radio and sports media, radio and television since I graduated a long time ago, which is kind of, I think when we first met was right after I graduated college, sometime in the mid-aughts, late-aughts. So yeah, we it's crazy. We were just talking about.
Oh, did I lose you? I think I lost you. You gotta love cell phones sometimes. Seth, while he kind of finds his bars again so he can come back and connect with us, Seth joined the OMFL in his early professional career days when he had a whole lot more time. But Seth also has done basketball. He does high school football, a big high school football show locally. He's a man of multiple talents, and joined the OMFL as just one of the key core contributors and a key core piece, and somebody that I quickly became friends with. He served on the board for I think a little bit until his professional career took off and his time was limited. There, I think we got you back.
Yes, I'm back. I think I'm outside. I think I was on Wi-Fi, and it was.
That's what it is.
So I turned the Wi-Fi off. So I don't know. I turned the Wi-Fi off, so you should be able to hear me now.
Multiple Super Bowl winner, right?
Yeah. You know what? I think I won. I want to say I won 4. It was 3 or 4.
Humble brag.
It was a humble brag. I mean, I get to brag about this stuff.
Yeah, you should.
It's like, I should be able to win it. I do remember this, and this is the honest truth. And I don't think you still believe me or not about this, but I had went undefeated in one season. And I got late into the second season undefeated, and the whole league obviously was just over it by this point. And I'm playing you, who's the commissioner, and everybody thought I just like tanked to you that year, but you actually stopped my run. Well, it was like the 26, 27 game winning streak, and you're the guy who beat me. So then you sent me into this spiral.
I got lucky. I got lucky and had another one happen like that this past season. So our new Seth Dunlap is actually broken up into a couple different guys. We've got a couple of guys that were like you and multiple Super Bowl winners. And one of those guys' name is Mo, and he is out in California, and he's won. I think he's got to have 5 or 6 by now, maybe 5, somewhere in there. And he won like 3 in a row. He had won a couple. He was on an undefeated streak too. He was 14-0 or 15-0, and he and I played. I thought I had 0 chance. In some way, somehow, I beat him, and then had to face him again in the playoffs, where I thought for sure I was going to just get my teeth smashed in, and I got lucky. So I'm sorry, Mo. I beat him twice. He was number 1 seed, knocked him out.
Are you really sorry though, Nate? Are you really?
I am a little. No, I'm not sorry at all. I got to take him when I can get him. It was my first NFC Championship game in forever. I think since I won my Super Bowl way back when. So this is a fun time of the year, right? Football is starting. Basketball is not too terribly far away. Baseball is wrapping up. High school sports are going to start here soon. Is this like Christmas for you?
It's Christmas if Christmas required you to work almost around the clock for about 3 months. So summer was great. We got our little summer break, but once training camps, and I think this is probably the same way in sports media pretty much across the country now, which how much we all love and cover football. It's kind of wall to wall. So just for example, today, I was telling you this off the air that I'm going to be heading out to Saints training camp. They actually just got started. I don't have to go out there for about an hour or so. So I got to cover that. And then most days I do that, and then I do my show at night. Luckily today I do not have a show. I do have a show tomorrow on Sunday. But yeah, it's wall to wall, man. And then here in New Orleans, we also now have the Pelicans and Zion Williamson. So everybody's going absolutely berserk about that. That's going to be super fun to cover. Their training camp starts in September. I also do a high school sports show here. I do television. So it's fun. I'm not complaining at all. It might sound like I am. I realize what I do for a living is much, let's just say, much less necessary than I think what a lot of people do, and I don't ever forget that. And I feel very lucky and blessed to do what I do. So even though it's a lot of work, I try not to complain.
Well, look, guys, if you ever want to hear a really great show Monday through Friday at 8 or 7, I forget the time.
8 Central. 8 Central.
8 Central. You can get the radio app. You can get the WWL app, and go listen to Seth, man. He's really great, and I miss having him around here. He and I don't get to see each other all that often because Seth literally does work 24/7 and doesn't have time for peons like me. But we've gotten to meet a couple of times. Seth is a basketball player, right? Like an ex-basketball player?
As well, if you consider basketball players to be played in high school, I was definitely not a college basketball player. But yeah, ex-basketball, baseball player in high school a little bit. By the way, you should see, you didn't tell people. You actually got a chance to come on my show.
I did.
This last year. You hung out in studio.
And I've been begging to come back ever since, trying to do some Madden stuff with you. I think that would be a blast.
I think we're going to do it next week. I think we kind of talked, and I think releases on Friday. Is that right?
Yep, releases on Friday.
So, yeah, so I'm planning on having you back up there. So
that'd be fun. Also, a Washington State fan.
Go Cougs and Mike Leach. Yeah, the flying Mike Leaches.
Every time I see Washington State playing well, I think of Seth. I'm like, oh, look, there's Seth's team. He's got to be watching this game right now.
Yeah, no Mississippi mustache this year. I don't know what we're going to do at quarterback. I'm a little concerned. I've seen these Vegas odds where we're right there with UW to win the Pac-12, which scares the heck out of me considering we can never beat UW. We just get smashed in the Apple Cup every year. But I am excited. Mike Leach apparently is not going anywhere because he just keeps turning down jobs. So I guess maybe he'll be there for the rest of his career, and we'll be decent for the rest of his career there. So it's great.
Decent is better than bad. We've got to talk a little sports. I'm not going to make you talk a ton because it is your job. You talk it all the time. But before we get into Madden, we got to talk a little sports. What are you looking forward to the Saints this year? Like, what are you keeping your eye on? I should be out there next week. Of course, I have a partnership with the Saints through my work, and I'm just lucky enough to get to be involved with a lot of stuff that they do. And so I've already kind of tapped my connections to be able to go out to training camp next weekend. So hopefully I'll get to see you. But what are we looking for? What are you keeping your eye out for my Saints?
Well, the Saints are going to be good. I think what people might not understand is they lost almost nothing in free agency as far as contributors. They lost Alex Okafor on the defensive line, and they lost Mark Ingram, and then Max Unger, their center, retired. Outside of that, everybody's going to be back. So this is still the most talented team in the NFC. We all know how it ended. I mean, it was just the worst moment, I think, in NFL history with that no call. People here will never get over that. Sean Payton was in camp yesterday. Drew Brees and Cam Jordan were all saying, we're not thinking about that. I mean, they're thinking about that. You can't go through that and not think about it. But they're primed, man. They're primed. Once Michael Thomas gets through this holdout and gets a new contract, which he will, they will be on paper, and it's a scary term to use. They'll be on paper the best team, at least in the NFC, if not in the NFL. So it's going to be a really, really fun season to watch. And remember, it might be Drew's last season. So
could be.
I say might. I say might. He has another MVP type of season. He'll come back, but it might be.
Well, he's still fun to use on Madden. One of the things I found funny is I'm actually really excited about Eric McCoy. I was listening to WWL yesterday on the way home, and the guys were just talking about camp, and evidently there was one fumbled snap between Drew and McCoy, and people were raising the question of, oh my God, what are we going to do at center? I'm like, it's one snap in the first training camp. Like, we're really stretching this as much as we can to get something to talk about. But I think that he's. I can't say that. That's your like buddy. I can't say.
No, that's okay. It was Christian, Bobby, or Deuce.
It was Christian. So, it was Christian. He was like, I don't know. We're gonna have to keep an eye on that. I'm like, Christian, stop it.
Yeah, it was the first snap of his basically NFL career at camp, and it was a fumbled exchange. After that, never had another problem. This guy was great at Texas A&M, and I think he'll be great again. I'll even tell Christian. Come on, really worried about that?
Yeah, are we going to get to hear you on some training camp stuff with the guys?
Oh yeah, good. Oh yeah. Actually, tomorrow, Sunday, 3 to 6, I'm with Deuce. So Deuce and I will be out there post camp talking a little Saints, talking a little NFL.
Awesome. Well, I'll have it on. I'm going to make you stop talking Saints. Just hit Pelicans real quick, and then we'll talk some Madden 20. Zion, all the rave about him. But I got to admit, I've never been a Zion guy. I will admit he is an athletic freak. The things that he does on the basketball court, you can't teach those things. And the kid really sold me on all this pre-draft stuff. I mean, he says the right things for an 18-year-old. Really composed, very well coached up, and he seems like he's got the right people in his corner that he's saying and doing a lot of the right things. Now, he's 18, so I expect him to do some stupid stuff as all 18, 19, 20-year-olds. We all did, right? But watching them in the summer league, which had to be the most hyped summer league I'd ever seen in my entire life, this is a fun team. I mean, this kid that we got from Texas, like all of these draft picks in the first round, like these guys can play. I'll admit, I was texting you during the draft, wasn't impressed by these picks, but I mean, this is going to be a fun. I don't know that they'll win. They're young. They're going to need to be coached up. They're going to be fun to watch.
They have a good mix of youth and veterans. Remember J.J. Redick shocked the NBA world when he signed here. Everybody thought he was going to go to the Lakers or some other contender. So they got a good mix of veteran leadership. Drew Holiday's still there, guys like Etuan Moore, and then you have all the young guys. I'll say this about Zion. He is the most charismatic person I think you'll probably ever meet, or one of them. It's crazy. It's palpable when you sit next to him, always smiling, and an athletic freak. And you mentioned his summer league there. He only played 9 minutes before he took himself out, or the team took himself out, just because he was injured. And I think he would tell you a little bit not in game shape. He wasn't out of shape. He just wasn't in game shape. But in that 9 minutes, he had 11 points. Was it like 6 rebounds? I mean, he's an athletic freak, the best player to enter the NBA, best prospect to enter the NBA since LeBron James. And the Pelicans. Crazy that the Pelicans are going to be the focal point of the NBA, or one of them this season. Which, considering where this franchise was
4 months ago,
6 months ago, yeah, 4 to 6 months ago, is incredible. It's I will say you have nothing to worry about with Zion either. He's the real deal. He'll be fine. Don't pay attention to all this out of shape talk that everybody's talking about.
I mean, the kid's running around meeting every team and doing videos and interviews and photos. And, yeah, I mean, look, he'll be fine. I will say.
All that New Orleans food. Eating all that New Orleans food when he first got here. Of course, you gained your first, or your freshman 15.
Yeah. And look, Mrs. B has invested many, many millions of dollars in the facility. The team went out and got the best training staff in the NBA. He's going to be fine, not worried about it. I was pulling for my LSU buddy, Mr. Big B Williams, who really had an outstanding summer camp. I haven't been able to keep up with it since, so I don't know if he signed a two-way contract or not. But, I mean, that's another kid that I thought can come in and give you some serious minutes at that center position, getting you some rebounds and defending the rim. So, I don't know. I hope that they do bring him in and give him an opportunity. It's going to be a fun team, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and there are other rookies you mentioned. Jackson Hayes is the
he's a
center
freak.
from Texas. He's the young guy. You just watch his highlights on Twitter or YouTube. I mean, it's highlight reel dunk, windmill dunk, spinning around, jumping for the free throw line.
That dunk in Summer League is going to last forever.
It really will. And then they have a guy from Virginia Tech, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, who's Chase Alexander-Walker's cousin, also was their MVP in the Summer League. So they've got a nice young core. And, of course, all the guys who came over from the Lakers, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram. This is an exciting team. I think they'll be playoff fringe this year. I don't think you can say they're a playoff team with how deep the West is, but 2-3 years down the road, I think this is a championship contender.
Yeah, I agree with you. Good morning, Kev. Kev's watching us on YouTube. I think a lot of the other guys are too. It's just quiet. Let's talk some Madden now. One of the things that made you, it's funny because you won a lot of your championships either with the Jags or the Seahawks, right?
Oh, the Jaguars. That was my. I traded for Drew Brees, which I still don't know how I did that with you. And then I had Maurice Jones-Drew, and the offense was pretty good, man. Thank you for that trade.
Well, you did that because I had drafted a guy, Jack English, and I actually stumbled upon some old videos the other day of Jack English, and I had built Jack English was like a 99 overall rookie. It was back when Madden had those. All the draft classes were the same, and you could figure out who was who, and I had a high draft pick, and so that's how you got him. But you were Seattle for a little bit, no?
I was Seattle for a while after that. I won 2 titles in Seattle. I think I won the other 2. I did win 4 because I won 2 in Jacksonville of all places, and then 2 in Seattle. And then when I went to Seattle, and that's where I'm from, so it was kind of my hometown team. I've been trying to get to Seattle, I don't know, for literally years, not seasons in Madden, but years in life. And finally, whoever was there left, and I swapped over there. And this is when Seattle was just dominant. Legion of Boom, and I think they hadn't won a Super Bowl yet, but they were really good. And everybody was just over it because they had Russell Wilson there and Marshawn Lynch. And this was the season Madden had that really funky read option that was a little bit cheesy.
That's when I won my Super Bowl, and I got called out supposedly for using the read option too much because I had I'm drawing a blank on his name, the Texas A&M quarterback that went to the Browns, Johnny Manziel. I had Johnny Manziel, and guys hated it.
Yeah, and I remember I ended up just not using it at all. Every time I'd play somebody, they're like, "Oh, you can't run this. This is just awful." So I was like, "Hey, I won't run it anymore. I'll still beat you."
Well, it's funny that one of our champions that we were talking about, Mo, he's been dominant with Seattle. I mean, I think he's got 4 or 5 titles with Seattle, a couple of them back to back like you. But you were a defensive guru. I know that I still use a lot of the defensive tips that you used to share with me. Why the defensive side of the ball, and kind of how did you view defense when you looked at your Madden teams?
I remember I was always defense first because that is what I could control. I was not a very good offensive player. Remember this guy named Mustang? Mustang's not still in your league.
Mustang is around. He is connected to the league, but not in it. So Mustang, finished school and is like building NASA jets or something somewhere. So like you, he's just too busy to come be a part of the league, but he's definitely connected with us still.
Yeah, so Mustang, that's good to hear. Mustang, when I first got into the league, he was kind of one of the supreme talents in the OMFL, and I was in the same division, and he just beat me absolutely silly. I couldn't score on him. There was another guy, Ox, in that division. Gaddy was in that division too.
Gaddy's still around. He's not in our league, but he's in a league that's in our community.
Yes, that was my main rival. But it was probably Gaddy stories we could tell. But I just remember that I couldn't really score on them, but they were scoring 40, 50 points. And I'm like, okay, I gotta figure this out. There's one thing I can control. It's not letting them score that much on me. So I really just went into the lab for, months and just kind of devised some schemes and some strategies that I thought were pretty sound in Madden. And it works. I became really good defensively. I knew exactly how I wanted to build the team and Madden-wise defensively, and that's kind of where I started. And then after that, I got a little better offensively. I don't think I was ever the best offensive player in the league at all. Not even close, I don't think. But like you said, it was all about defense and just being able to play and really, like I said, labbing and learning how to play. The free safety position, or one of the safety spots, and then also the middle linebacker spot, I felt was so key because you can eat up so much ground in Madden there. And if you have, decent players around you with coverage skills, because it was a pass-heavy league back then. I don't know if it still is now, Nate, but if you could play those two spots and use the sticks pretty well, it made things a lot easier. Hey, I see Noel in here. What's up, Noel?
Yeah.
He was in the league, yeah.
Yeah, he's been around. He's been the longest guy that's been around. So he's been around since not day one, but close to day one. So he's been with me for almost 20 years. I can't imagine that we've been doing this for 20 years. And especially what the community's grown into. We have 7 Madden leagues underneath us. We have another 7 different types of leagues, whether they're WWE, FIFA, shooters. It's really grown to something super cool that I never thought it was going to be. There's over 100 members in the community. We have a website, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, the works. It's been just kind of cool to be a part of. So, who was your favorite Fed? I don't know what I'm trying to say. The favorite Madden player that you used to play with?
Oh, that's a great question. And I don't like this guy necessarily in real life, but it was probably Maurice Jones-Drew, just because of what we did together in Jacksonville, which, again, of all places, we were able to kind of create a dynasty there. So I would say Maurice Jones-Drew, just because I have great memories there with that. Again, not a huge fan of his in real life, taking shots at Drew Brees and doing all sorts of random crazy stuff. But yeah, probably him.
What was your favorite Madden game? Do you remember?
Gosh, I don't think it wasn't the last year I played, this was a while ago now, was the year Sherman was on the cover. I want to say, I would actually probably say, and this is the truth, I would say my favorite Madden was probably the first one I was with you guys. I think it was Madden 08 or 09, when I go back to when I was just getting the brain speed out of me. And it was a great learning experience there. So that was probably my most memorable and favorite Madden experience because of the transition I had, the tough learning.
What was your favorite Madden game? I know that you won a couple championships, but sometimes it's not always the championships that were your favorite Madden memory. But what was your favorite Madden game memory?
There was a game against Vishal, who was a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
And also in New Orleans with us.
Yes, also in New Orleans. And
one of the craziest dudes that anybody would ever meet. Like,
true.
He is a cartoon character.
He is, and he had these sports cars. He drives sports cars. You'd see him on social media, posting in front of his mom.
You're not even being fair with the sports cars. He's driving Lamborghinis, and he's just the craziest guy ever. He's freaking hilarious and awesome.
Yeah, no, he really is. And we had a great relationship. We had played, obviously, war, and he hadn't made a Super Bowl yet. And and this was the second year that I went to the Super Bowl in Madden with those Jags. And the game was streamed, I remember, and I think you can still find it on YouTube somewhere. But it was one of those back and forth games that went down to the final drive, and he had a chance to win it. And I think I ended up, this is off the top of my head, I want to say I ended up picking him off on the final drive with like 20 seconds left when he was driving for the winning score inside my territory. I just remember the back and forth of that was pretty epic, and we had great chat going on the whole time. And I think basically the whole league was watching that one, because by that point, everybody was like, "This Dunlap guy needs to go." So everybody was a Mitchell fan at that point. So that one was probably my most memorable. I mentioned Gaddy before. I will tell you this: that rivalry that we had was pretty incredible. Every game that we played was great. I mean, a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, great. And I'm just thinking about all these games in my head, because we were in the same division for so long. When I went to Seattle, he was a San Francisco 49ers fan. That's when they were really good. So he was playing with Cap. I was playing with Russell Wilson. He had the great defense. I had the great defense. It was a war. Those games were wars. And met in the NFC Championship or the playoffs like 2-3 years in a row. And the games were always fun.
Anything that you miss from Madden? What is it that the thing that you miss being able to still do?
It's just the camaraderie of playing. I don't necessarily miss winning or losing. And love with all the guys and getting to chat and kind of play fantasy GM. The off-season stuff was always the most fun for me. Playing that fantasy GM, so you get to draft. And once they started going random draft classes, that certainly helped. And all the trades we used to have and helping you commish. We created these like AFC and NFC presidents. So we had this kind of board, just kind of getting in there and making the league structure a little bit better. All that kind of stuff was as fun or more fun to me than actually playing the game, oddly.
All right, we're going to go ahead and land this plane. Tell people where they can go find you. We got a couple of your pages up right now on the screen, but tell people where they can go follow you and see some of your written content and listen to some of your audio content.
Man, it's wwl.com. We're national now. We bought CBS, so it's also radio.com and the radio.com app. And I'm on Twitter at Seth Dunlap. And Nate, this is awesome, man. And I know I'm going to have you on the show next week, making me miss the league. Maybe I'll hang out this year. We'll come in and check it out. Even if I can't play too much, maybe we'll come in and catch some streams.
Well, I will definitely keep you in the chat. You're under our partners list, and so you'll have access to a lot of the chats. And yeah, just come pop in. I miss having you around. You were what's up, Smash? Smash has joined us this morning. I always loved having you in the league. You and I were always good friends, and yeah, it's been fun for me. I'm a little older than you, and I've watched you kind of, grow into your professional career, and I've always been one of your biggest fans. And I appreciate you, the stuff that you do to help us, and just your friendship. When we do get to connect, I do understand how extremely, you guys don't understand how busy this man is. It is a grind that I'm always a little jealous when I'm like, I was on another local show. I got to be on it this week. His name's Gus Cattengill, and just jealous. I was like, I think that would be so cool just to get to sit and talk sports for 4 hours a day. But then you understand the grind that these guys have to do, and I'm like, okay, I don't miss that. I don't think I could do that.
That's what people don't realize. It is the grind. But like I said at the top, I never complain at all. I kind of realize, how blessed we are to be able to do this. And hell, Nate, in this city right now, with the Saints
it's
and
fun.
The Pelicans, LSU's great and everything. Now even basketball they're good at. So it is fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a fun. Well, Seth, thank you so much for waking up early. I got you to get up early, and then we gave time for my other co-hosts to show up, and those bums never did. I'm gonna freaking just ream them whenever they're back on. But I appreciate you, man. Much love sent your way, and just let me know. We'll connect again here soon, and hopefully I'll see you out at camp. But if not, I'll definitely, hopefully, see you out at Saints games.
Yeah, definitely will, and good luck. I hope and expect you to be hoisting another OMFL trophy soon.
I got close last year, but there is I don't know if you remember him, but he used to go by D-Money. I think his last name is so he's here, and he has won 3 Super Bowls in a row, and that's who I had to face in the NFC Championship last year. And think he ended up winning 19-13. He's a lot like you were, just completely dominant on defense and just kind of toys with you. But I got close. But my hopes are high for Madden 20. It's a really spectacular game. It is worth buying, even if you're just going to play a couple hours offline at night before you go to bed, because it is a pretty spectacular game. It's really enjoyable.
All right, we'll get some scrims in.
Let's do it.
We'll do that. All right, let's do it.
All right, Mr. Seth, thank you so much, man. Have a great day. And guys, go follow my buddy and go listen to his stuff. I'm telling you, he is superb. You're going to love him. He, in my opinion, is one of the best sports talk show hosts in the country, and he's just a little unknown, but he's going to get there. And so go support our buddy. Seth, thank you again, man. I appreciate you.
You bet, man. Thanks, Nate.
There we have it, Mr. Seth Dunlap, a Hall of Famer. I don't get to say that very often, but he is in the Hall of Fame here in the OMFL, and was such a big, massive part of our league for a very long time. And he was the D-Money, he was the Mo, he was the D-Wayne of the day, just dominant. I don't think guys know how or understand how dominant that guy really was whenever he was here, because he just would shut you down on defense. He just there was nothing that you could do. And then he didn't give himself a lot of credit, but he was very good on offense. He was a tough stop because, especially in Seattle, he had the mobile quarterback. In Jacksonville, he had Drew Brees, which was just unbeatable back in the day. So it was crazy, and I was glad that he did that. All right, I'm flying solo here. Maniac said he woke up, but then didn't join. So I have no clue where Maniac is. D-Wayne is still in vacation mode. Him and Dawson went out on vacation to some island somewhere with all their families, and so I think he's still sipping on Mai Tais even though he's back home. We're going to talk a little FPR changes for Madden 20. I know that we posted this and started to tell everybody that this was coming. I even made an hour-long video about some of the things that Madden 20 just does a little bit different that you're going to have to just watch for, and you have to keep your eye open for, and that's going to be the salary cap, because they have implemented dynamic contracts, which means that contracts kind of affect each other. Their play affects their contract, and they put in real or more realistic contracts. And so you will see a franchise young quarterback. He's going to ask for 125, 150, somewhere in that range. And that is a massively fat contract to put on a 4-year deal here in the OMFL. So the board and I have been kind of going back and forth. I had a interesting, I should say, conversation with one of our members here last night that I don't know if it was just because I was tired or I'm just tired of arguing with people. It was spirited, to say the least. But we're trying to figure this out, and there are multiple ways. After I got to practice, it's going to be hard, but I think you can do 4-year contracts. And I'm not going to go through the whole spiel again because I made an hour-long video yesterday that I sent out to everybody. But you can do 4-year contracts and sign your guys, but you're not going to be able to keep everyone. And I think one of the sticky points, at least in the conversation last night, was my idea, which I got from the TFL, isn't my original idea, and that is to not allow contract talks to happen until week 1 of the offseason. After that conversation last night, I've backed off of that, and at this point, I'm kind of waving the white flag. I really don't care. I just want to move on and start playing the game and having fun. So I don't know what the board's going to pass. I've kind of put out a couple different options. I didn't get a lot of feedback last night, so I'm going to post it up for a vote today. Those options are going to be 4-year deals. You can... My brain is scrambled this morning. I guess I'm tired too. You can contract negotiate in week 17 and week 1 of the offseason. I think we'll probably even move that maybe to week 16. So it gives people 3 opportunities, just like free agency, to make their bids count. So I've given in on that. I'm also willing to give in on 5-year contracts. I was originally pushing for 5-year contracts. I was originally saying, let everybody have 5-year contracts and we just move on. Some of the board members just feel like that's too much and that we'll not have any free agency. I don't. I think that guys are still going to turn down offers. They're still going to be free agents. And now that I've had those conversations, I did the hour test. I've went back and forth. I think that my first offer is going to be 4 years, start contract negotiations in week 16, 17, and week 1 of the offseason. And then we add in something called a contract restructure. And so a contract restructure is if you have a player who is going down in stats and isn't playing as well, and you can prove that with stats, with statistics, that his season this year was worse than the season previous, and he has a large contract, you can cut 20% of that contract. We'll let you take 20% out, and you choose if it comes, some from bonus, some from salary, all from bonus, all from salary. We'll let you pick, but you have to prove it, and then you have to earn it through gold. The other offer, I think, is just going to be 5-year deals. If we give 5-year deals, then you can only contract negotiate the week 1 of the offseason. Good morning, Bill. And we'll add in the contract restructure. And then the board can decide if they like a combination of the two, if they have other ideas. I don't think that any other new ideas have been pitched. Brady pitched some stuff at me, but it was too much to police. And we've talked about that a zillion times here, so I'm not going to re-talk about it. But that is the dilemma, is that there are ideas that would work, but they would also be extremely hard to police. They would be a big ask from owners, and those things just don't work. So let's go through a couple of these things. Again, we're going to make some FPR videos as soon as all this stuff is solidified and decided. Next Friday I've taken off, and so I'm going to do a full day stream. We're going to do some giveaways. I've got a Cam Jordan football that we're going to give away. Hopefully we'll have some game codes, some MUT codes that we can give away. And then I'm also going to, on Saturday and Sunday, start making the new FPR videos. We also need to make some new videos around blog posts and how to make blog posts. And so I'm going to start updating some of our videos. But we can kind of run through these. What has been banned, and then this is a change from last year, is the hot routing all of the linebackers to blitz. I didn't even know that was a defensive hot route because I just never had a reason to go look for that. But that is a defensive hot route that people can call, and it's going to be banned. You cannot call your guys to all blitz from a hot route. If you want to call an all blitz, then call an all blitz from the play call selection screen. Do not call it from a hot route on defense. Again, caution plays. These are just things that we've seen abused. Cover 2 zone blitzes, 8 in the box, crashing the line of scrimmage with the safety directly after the snap of the ball. Those things are all still there from last year. Those things became big problems last year and needed to be worked on. So those are definitely added this year. In-season free agencies only will have a max bid of $10 million. Ties will then move to the waiver order. This is because, especially in the last season, guys were putting crazy bids, $25 million for one season, $30 million for one season, because they knew that they would get to re-sign that player to a normal contract in the season, or they could just let them walk and they would have them for the one season and they could use up some of the cap that they weren't using. It doesn't really work that way in the real NFL. You're never going to see, a backup role player get a $25 million one-year contract. And so in order to kind of stop that, or at least govern that a little bit, we're going to say there's a max bid of $10 million, and every tie then moves to the waiver order, which is an order from the worst record. So that's going to be a little change that we added from last year. Another thing we talked about this is I'm trying to open up playbooks, especially in Madden 20, where every team has a very unique feel. They feel different. Every team has its own unique play style and how the team is set up and the type of game that you should play to be successful. Take the Baltimore Ravens, for example, right? Their quarterback is never going to be Jackson's never going to be this guy that can wing it for 400 yards a game and 7 touchdowns in the air, but he's going to be a dual threat. He's going to be a guy that can kind of hit you from all different types of areas. And so one of the steps in order to allow that is we're going to move to a lot of percentages. Excuse me. We've never been a league that has these hard stances on numbers, because that doesn't really tell the story of a game and how a game is played out, but percentages do. And so 35%, I know that's a weird number, but it's basically 7 rushes for every 20 rushes that you have at a game. And I maybe should change the wording there, that 7 out of every 20. We're talking about rushes and runs total. So total runs of your team, if you hit 20 runs, 7 of those runs can come from your quarterback, and it's going to be allowed. So 35% of your rushes can come from the quarterback. That will open it up. We feel like that's 6 to 7, maybe 8. That's a good range that quarterbacks can get in. You start giving over 8, that becomes a little too high. And so you can't have that many rushes. Of course, the kneel downs do not count. Another step in that direction is tight ends, running backs, fullbacks, and allowing teams to use those players a little bit more. And so 50% of your catches, half of your catches combined, can come from that group: running back, tight end, fullback. We still think that your receivers should be important. They should play a role. We don't want to see a guy running 365 overall receivers out there because he has a 99 running back, a 99 tight end, and he's just throwing to those guys all game, every game. We do want to see you mix it up, but at the same time, we want to open this up a little bit more. And tight ends and running backs and fullback throws and catches were frowned upon, and we're trying to lighten that up this Madden, because it does open up the way the game plays and the way that you can play those positions. It opens that opportunity up. Offensive FPR band plays. What basically was removed here is the vertical concept. So running all verts can happen now. It just should be a caution play. So a lot like drags and post routes, like we shouldn't see 7 verts a game. That shouldn't be a thing. You should still police yourself. It is a caution play, but the game plays verts much better. But what this is going to open up is it's going to open up the defense calling cover 1 all the time. And that's what happened. Last Madden, you've seen cover 1, cover 3 a majority of the time. If guys are really trying to mix it up, they're cover 1 on first down because they know that safety is going to come down and cover the running back. Cover 3 on second down. And then depending on what you do on third down, if it's a third and long, probably cover 3. If it's a third and short, probably cover 2 man. We're trying to open that up. In the game, vertical routes are not a give me. They're not a lob play. We don't have switch here. And so I think it opens it up. And I proved that. I played Smash yesterday, and he called cover 1 to start the game. And I called a vertical route play. I just wanted to test it and see what would happen. My receiver, Thomas, he burnt the cornerback. The other receivers did not. But Thomas, using his route running and physical abilities, got beyond the cornerback, who was in press. The safety that was in cover 1 was on the other side of the field, couldn't get over, and I burned him for a big play. And so it will open up the offense to burn guys. It doesn't mean that the offense should now run 20 of those. You should really start to govern yourself, and it is a caution play. Offense and defensive FPR, here's the change, and that is that we used to allow 2 or 3 hot routes a play, and that was really abused in Madden 19. Guys were making changes every single play. Again, this will fall under the majority rule. Majority of your plays should be ran as called. You should not be making what we consider an adjustment to that play. You should be running the play on offense and on defense as you called it. But now, in Madden 20, you're only going to be allowed 1 change, 1 adjustment per play. This changes, though, when you go to no huddle, because no huddle, you'll probably need an audible. That will be your 1 change, and then we'll allow you 1 other change. So when you go no huddle on offense, if the guy if you need to go no huddle, you're allowed 2 changes. And on defense, if you're a guy that you're playing goes no huddle, you're allowed 2 changes. Here's what we consider a change. IDing the mic is not a change. You're going to hear the quarterback talking, but it's not going to be a change. Offensive line sliding or pinching, not a change. It's not an adjustment. You can slide or pinch your offensive line coverage, and that is not a change. It doesn't change the play. It just helps you balance out if the defense comes in an overloaded type of formation. You get 1 hot route for 1 player. That's a change or adjustment. So if you do 1 hot route, you keep 1 player in. I'm keeping my running back in to pass protect. That's my change for that play. I'm hot routing my receiver to a slant. That's my 1 change that I get for that play. If you do full protection, that's going to show as more than 1 adjustment, because usually it keeps the tight end, it keeps the running back, it keeps everyone in. All protect is 1 change. If you go all protect, even though it's going to show up as multiple high routes, it's really easy. I can just watch the play. That's 1 change. So all protect is the only one that is 1 change that's going to show up as multiple changes. But it's just 1 change. And then an audible is 1 change. So in a play, I can call an audible. I can call a hot route. And those are my 1 changes that I can change. But I should not be doing that 5 out of 10 plays. 4 out of 10 plays is probably the max. 6 of those 10 plays should be ran as I called them. Flipping the play. That's something I can add here. I need to go back and add flipping the play. That's a change. You're changing how that play is coming. So that's your 1 change. Because this is what we get. We get, multiple hot routes. We get multiple changes. We get flipping the plays. It's too much. It's run the play that you called so that we can get back to the chess match games that the OMFL is known for. On defense, play the sticks. So the I think it's L1 triangle, something like that. That is not a change. That's like sliding the protection. It's not a change. Pressing or backing off your DBs, not a change in the play. We're going to allow you to bring them up, especially in like quarters. A lot of times those guys are like way, way off. We want to allow you to bring those in. That's not an adjustment. When you hot route a player into man or zone, that's a change or adjustment. That's just 1 player. Hot route, change the DB sliding. Linebacker or defensive line. If you're sliding them or pinching them, that's a change or adjustment, because on defense, it's changing the AI and how they identify with who to block and who to protect. And it just changes. It changes everything. And so we want to make sure that we're changing the least amount of stuff to trick the AI as possible, even if you're accidentally not on purpose doing that. Quarterback spy is a hot route. It's a change or an adjustment. And so that is going to be a change. Audible is, of course, a change. So you can see what's listed here. Change. We'll add in the one that I missed for offense, which I'm slipping my brain again. I'll have to go back and freaking watch this whole thing again just to remember what it was. What was it now? You guys are watching. You just heard me say it. It's early for me too. 55% of your total plays is the very max that you should be changing a play. And that's high. And the reason I put it that high is because leaving a player in the block is not a massive change. Changing a linebacker to quarterback spy is not a massive change. And that's why that'll allow that number to be a little bit high. But we think that this is going to cause flipping the play. Thank you, Double. I'll add that in as a change for the offense. Scheduling. This is one of the hot button topics. And Bill knows I love him. And he also knows he is our scheduling czar, even though he doesn't have that job right now. And I get it. I love Bill's passion. I will always love Bill's passion. But he really holds guys to a pretty high standard. And I get his argument is that it's not that high of a standard. It's actually pretty easy. And I know that Kev is running this. And so Kev gets a headache from this. I get a headache from this. I hate reading it. I hate dealing with it. just kind of is what it is. But we're going to be tougher on the scheduling. 72 hours, and then we advance. So for the guys who are hard on the scheduling guys, remember, we're a 72-hour league. That is what we are. That's what we are going to be. We're not a 24-hour league. We're not a 48-hour league. We're a 72-hour league, and sometimes that means you have to wait on one game because of schedules for 72 hours. So be it. Go build a website. Go create some content. That gives you plenty of time to do something creative for the league that puts eyes on it instead of being negative. But for those of you who struggle with scheduling, we're going to be harder on you. And Kevin has extended the 24 to 36, adds in a couple extra hours for guys who maybe have to work a 16-hour day and need to get to sleep and then got to wake up early. Like, he's being kind and giving you some leeway there. But if your game is not posted, if neither owner posts within 36 hours, it's going to be a sim. He's just going to straight up sim it. If one guy posts in 36 hours and the other team does not, it's going to be a CPU game. If both guys post in 36 hours, but one guy has way more opportunities to play and the other guy does not, and there's no scheduling that matches, they're going to give a CPU game to the guy who has more availability. That's just the way it's going to go. And I expect some owners are not going to like this. I expect that guys are going to get angry about it. I wouldn't even be surprised if we lose maybe an owner over it. But it is what it is. It needs to be tougher because some guys take advantage of it for no real reason. XPR. XPR. What am I? Golly, I need to go back to bed. XP and how we allow XP FPR to be done here. And that is, we're going to start capping what you can use on a player. So I love our system. I love that we kill in-season awards and we give them through our own personal things. I think that it is more realistic. It doesn't quite award guys spamming players and getting crazy stats. It awards all types of owners. And you don't have to win Super Bowls here to get XP and build your team. You can be a low-rated team and a team that's still building, a team that's not winning, and still earn FPR here. Still earn XP through different awards that we do here. But what we've seen is guys were piling it up, and they were earning an award from Offensive Player of the Year, and they made the Pro Bowl, and they won 8 XP through gold incentive and other, winning the gold sheet. I'm just making this stuff up. And they just pile all that on one player, and they're able to build up players pretty quickly. Even though we limit where that can be spent, they can still pile it up pretty quickly. So we've said that the awards, the Pro Bowl, the non-assigned XP, so the XP that we give, whether it's through Gold Sheet, whether it's through Sportsman, all that XP that it's not assigned to a player. Awards, Pro Bowl, that's assigned to a specific player. But that non-assigned XP can only be used on 6 total XP on one player for a year. 3 of it is for one attribute. So if you did the maxes, you can only increase 2 attributes, a max of 3 XP. This is not in-game stuff. In-game is going to be what it is. It's roles. I'm not talking about in-game. This is for the stuff that we award as a league and that we give you every off-season. 6 total for a player. And if you want to give all 6 to that player, you can only put 3 complete on 1 XP. You can put all 6, increase 1 point on 6 different attributes. Totally up to you. Totally fine. But you can't put more than 3 on 1 attribute at a time. RPOs. You're allowed to have as many as you want. We were trying to figure this out, but it could be abused. It's not overpowered. It's not gimmicky, but it can be abused, and it can be to where if we allowed it, every play would be an RPO, and then guys are deciding, oh, it's zone, I'm going to run it. Oh, it's man, I'm going to throw it, and it would get annoying, and then guys would have to play one type of defense, and again, that's not what we are. So 25% of your plays that you run can be RPOs. So if you call 20 plays a game, you're not going. If you call 40 plays a game, 8 of them can be RPOs. Totally fine. And then those other percentages, if you run the ball, it's going to go into your running percentages. So if you call the stretch zone outside run or the screen to the left 8 times, and you run it all 8 times, you just ran 8 stretch plays. So you better have at least 8 middle runs to kind of offset that. So all of these percentages play off of one another. It's definitely something that you have to keep in mind. And again, it's a feature. It's a back of the box feature. We want to let you use it. It's a great feature. It plays great. You can really burn teams. Just don't go crazy. That's it. Just keep it in moderation. Here's the new policy, so to speak, on removing an owner. This kind of was created by Chaotix a Madden ago, and it's been tweaked, and this is where we are for Madden 20. The first time that you get a game put under review, if we watch it and we confirm that those are the results, you're going to have a conversation with me. I can only say what I can say. Like, I had an unfun conversation with an owner who pointed out that, because of who I am, I guess, and the role here, not that I'm special, just my role, that guys take everything that I say to extreme, and it is what it is. There's nothing I can do to stop that. But what I can do is I can treat you guys with respect, and I do that. All of my conversations are with utmost respect and honor. I'm not hateful. I think that's the thing about text that gets lost is you don't know my tone. And if you're having a bad, crappy day and you just got in an argument with your wife, your boss, your kids, and then you read my text that you had a bad FPR game, look, I'm not going to, I can't write a paragraph to be loving to everybody. Like, sometimes it's just like, you're an adult, I'm an adult. Hey, here's where you messed up. Please don't do that again. Work on it. Okay, let's move on. Like, it's not that serious, guys. We're not solving world hunger. It's not that serious. So definitely something that people can work on. But we're going to have a conversation the first time it goes under review. The second time, for the same issue, if it's the same thing, hey, this guy calls too much zone. And we watched the film, and you called 75% zone. And I text you, and I say, hey, you're calling too much zone. Here's the stats from your game, 75%. You got to mix up your play call. Then 3 weeks later, I get another one. He called 65% zone. Still too high. We watch it. We confirm it. You're going up immediately for a removal vote. Because we had a conversation. I asked you to work on it. You didn't work on it. You're going to go up for a removal vote. If the board decides that, yeah, you got to go, then I'm going to offer you a spot in the deuce. Unless Maniac says no, don't offer a spot. Remove from the community. And then if you got to be removed from the community, you're removed from the community. But you'll be offered a spot in the deuce. You can go take a team there. You can work your way back up. Go work on your FPR. Go work on your content. Earn a spot to come back. If you're not put up for removal and you're given a second chance, then I'm going to tell you, okay, the vote will still allow you to stay. This is your second warning. You now lose all XP for that season. Any XP, not in game, we're going to let you keep in game, but all XP that's earned outside the league for off season, you lose all of that, and one player is going to be suspended for one game. I'm going to pick that player. Quarterbacks, kickers, punters, offensive line are going to be protected because those are like some key positions that, like, I'm not trying to make you lose a game. I'm just trying to, like, send a pretty stern warning that we've talked twice about this and you still can't fix it. The third time for the same issue, so 6 weeks after that, it's week 17, I get another. He still ran 80% zone in this game. Automatic removal from the league. No vote, no conversation. I'm going to come to you and offer you a spot. Hey, this isn't working. This is the third time we've had this conversation. I'm going to have to remove you. Here's a spot in the deuce if you want to work your way up. If not, thank you for playing here. We appreciate it. We'll see you later. And if you do take the spot in the deuce, you lose all XP there in the deuce for one season, including awards and every incentive, anything that you may have earned. You lose it for that season, and you have to work your way back up. So it's pretty stern, but I always get hammered, and I'm okay with it because I just am, for being lenient. And I will say, for those guys who want me to rule with an iron fist, I never will. But this is for the same issue. If one week a film has to be watched for zone, and the next week a film has to be watched for outside runs, and then the next week the film has to be watched for quarterback runs, and all of them confirmed, that's not 3 times. That's going to be 3 separate conversations. His first time on all of these. These are for the same issue, and that's where we have problems. Because if I come to you and I say, hey, this is an issue, and you change it, but you have another issue to work on, I'm fine with that. You're showing progression. You're moving in the right direction. It's when we have, excuse me, the same issue over and over and over. This is something that I really wanted to have added back. I removed it because I was trying to make the rules less, but this was really abused last Madden, and I want to add it back. This is a caution play. This is not a you can't do this play. This is a caution play. You see the offensive line here. It's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kind of goes back and forth. 8. Those are the gaps. You're allowed a 1-gap cutback. If the play is designed to go between guard and tackle, say the 4-gap, the play is designed to go between the 4-gap, I can cut it to the 2. I can cut it to the 6. I have that flexibility. Where it gets wonky is if the tight end goes out on a route, goes downfield, that 8 gap disappears, right? And that 6 and 8 kind of becomes 1. And so you are kind of allowed to bounce it a little bit, but that should be kept to a minimum, right? Like there is a difference between taking it to the 6, even if the 6 and 8 is blended, and bouncing it way out to the 8. Like, you can see that difference. You can feel that difference. You know what that difference is. You want to keep it closer to the 6 than bouncing it way out to the 8. You definitely don't want to cut it back to the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7. And what we were seeing was guys were calling plays to go to the 4. At the snap, the second their halfback touches the ball, the 3 gap is open. And they're just because they have a guy with high agility, they're good at the sticks, they're able to move that guy and go straight through the 3 for a gain of 12 yards. That's what we're trying to take away here. If you call it to go to the 4, it needs to go between the 2 and the 6, somewhere in that area. And if a hole doesn't open up, then guess what? You're taking a loss and you're coming back the next play. That doesn't mean that occasionally you react and the 1 gap comes open, the 3 gap comes open, and you take it. Okay, it happened. But it shouldn't happen 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It shouldn't happen that many times. Once, twice, maybe in an entire game. Definitely not in the same drive, because then you're just annoying somebody. These plays need to go where they're called. And so, gave you some play art there. You get a 1-gap cut. That's the caution play. You're allowed more than that occasionally, once or twice a game, but that needs to be kept to an extreme minimum. These shows suck when I do them by myself. I hate doing these by myself. Freaking Maniac and Double Zero. It's just because I've seen his name. Dwayne, you guys suck. I want to be sleeping too. All right, let's talk about the new incentive plan. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but basically what I did is I changed the points, and so they are higher. Gold is now going to be 85, silver 65, bronze 45. We've also just kind of cleaned up. We've matched the gold sheet and the fantasy football, so those incentives match. We've also taken and moved some things around so players don't regress, and so we've kind of taken that out of the incentive plan. We've added in some extra things to be in there. The trait, you can add in a trait that isn't a dev trait. That's what kind of took place of the dev regression. You still have the regression prevention 1 time per player. We may, by the time we figure out what we're doing with these contracts, we may add some stuff into platinum, but some other stuff was already added into platinum, and that is the 4 points, the 1 trait that's not a dev trait, and then the 1 contract that can be moved bonus to salary 1 time per Madden. That's a platinum award only that you can earn. Not something that we want to give you every single season, because it just started to get too easy. So you can definitely see the changes there. I've increased what a video is worth. The comments, we now give you points for comments left on blog posts and YouTube posts. And here's the reason, because when you guys add just one comment, even if it's one sentence, on a blog post or a YouTube post, it triggers some mechanisms that actually gets us more views. And when people search things, it gets us higher on the search list, which means people are going to see us more often and see who we are more often. And so your likes, your subscriptions, and your comments carry a lot of power. And so we want to give you the opportunity to earn some points by leaving some comments, even if it's like, great video, I enjoyed watching that. Like, those things matter. And so we want to give you an opportunity to help us with that, and we hope that you do. Offensive FPR, here's some caution plays that we are adding. I tried very passionately and stubbornly to have all closed and bunched formations and shotgun runs banned from the red zone and on 3rd and short. The board would not pass it. It was close. It will probably come back up again every season until I either get told to retire, or, which probably wouldn't be a bad thing, or as to let it go or pass it. Because I just think that they're super gimmicky, and I hate seeing them on 3rd and goal from the 3. The guy's going to come out in a 4 wide bunch formation and run drags. It's just freaking annoying. I hate 1st and 10 from the 9 yard, or 1st and 10 from the 10-yard line in the red zone, and the guy's calling a shotgun run for 8 easy yards. 3rd and 3 calls a shotgun draw up the middle for 10 easy yards. It's just annoying. It's stupid, and you see it's coming, it's coming, and there's nothing that you can do about it, because it's just a give me play, and I hate it, and I'm pretty passionate about hating it. So it is a caution play. I will remove you if you abuse these plays. If you can't stop doing a bunch of close formations every 3rd and short in every red zone, then you need to go. If you can't not do a shotgun run on 3rd and 3 because you're just that not creative, then you got to go. Slants and drags are also added to this on 3rd down and red zone. That's where we see a lot of the issues around offensive FPRs: 3rd down, 3rd and short, and red zone. And that's where guys need to clean it up. So there you have it. Those are the offensive FPR changes for Madden 20. I don't think there's but one or two more things that the board is still discussing. There's not a whole lot. We've decided a lot of stuff already. So not a ton more that's coming down the pipeline. And I was also going to talk some Madden 20, but I'm here by myself. I think the game feels amazing. It's an enjoyable game. It just is. And right now I'm doing so much testing, just trying to figure out the right settings, the right sliders, the right XP. We realize our XP is a little high, maybe just a tad high right now. I need some more testing on that. But I want to hear your feedback. If you had the game, if you're playing it, tell me what you think about the sliders. We're trying to find a kick slider to make kicks matter. I went pretty low, but some guys had some weird stuff happen when I had it really, really low. So I bumped it up, but it's probably too high because I was burying a 59-yarder with wind last night with no problem, because on All Pro, the meter's really slow. It's one of the side effects of All Pro. I wish we could have the kick meter of All Madden, but the way the game plays of All Pro, it's just really slow. And so we have to make that matter. We have to make you focus, and we have to do that with the slider, unfortunately. So we'll mess with that a little bit more. I think we have quarterback accuracy about where it should be, but I want more feedback. Everything is close to 50s, which is awesome because the game just plays that well. And then the only other adjustments that we're going to have is that we had our buddy Cursive on a couple weeks ago, and he is a roster builder. I am in his Discord for rosters, and he's going to create a roster that we'll use. So he's going to dig into each team and try to add like these undrafted free agents and give us a preseason roster so that you can make decisions with your roster. And I know Madden, it doesn't have that capability to add all of these players. And so he'll give us one that's just a little bit bigger. We're also just going to remove high motor. I just think that's a gimmicky attribute. So every player will have high motor removed. We are in a vote that's probably going to pass that says players with 85 and above hit power will be able to have hit stick if they have it. Like if it's an attribute that they already have, they'll keep it. If they're below 85 hit power and they have it, it's going to be removed. Because I just don't want a 68 overall, 50 hit power linebacker taking out my running back and causing a fumble. It's just not realistic just because he has that trait. Also, all receivers, tight ends, running backs, fullbacks will have run after catch just because I believe that every player should run after catch. I am not, though, going to give sideline catches. We're going to keep that one out, and it will be a trait that your player either has or doesn't have, or that you add through an incentive that you earn. So those are probably the changes that we're going to make. We're not going to make any changes with how players with aggressive play the ball on defense. We're not going to change anything like that because but the game has fixed all that. We're not going to change the attribute of covering the ball just because the Madden 20 has fixed all that stuff. And so we actually just don't need to worry about it too much. So that's where we are. Go get some testing. Go get some games in. Give me some feedback. Let me know. I'll be doing some probably streaming tonight. I didn't do a whole lot last night. But tonight and Sunday, probably do some early morning streaming. And then we'll start making some FPR videos. So, yeah, lots of new stuff is going to be coming out. The next, less than 6 days is going to be really fun. And we're going to have lots of fun announcements. If you're still looking for a second league, if you're watching this video and you're not part of the OMFL, check out the Deuce. We're really close to filling up the Deuce. We really want to get the Deuce filled up and get people ready to start playing again. And it should be a whole lot of fun. So with that, I'm going to wrap this puppy up. Let me say thank you to all of our partners, Daddy Leagues, League Crawler, Soden Bowl, OCW, Austin DTA, E-Kings, and Shopmaster. You guys are all the best. We appreciate you. We appreciate what you're doing and for being part of the family, the Grown Folks family, and, of course, all of our leagues, which is, NBC, the Deuce, the TFL, ATG, PFL, and the PFL Fantasy. These are all good people and good leagues, and it is an honor to have you guys here. Today's the last day. I'm going to send it out of our drive. I will do a thank you video on Sunday, probably do it tomorrow morning, just to say thank you. It has been an amazing drive. Now, if you're in the OMFL, the Deuce, you can become a platinum member at any time. We never close that off. And if you're in another league, we never stop taking donations. I just won't push the drive anymore. I just want to run the drive for all of July, and that's what we've done. And I appreciate all of you guys for helping donate and give back. And so it's been astonishing, and I can't wait to just do an official thank you and say thanks to all the people who were a part of it. So I hope you have a blessed week. Thanks for watching the show. I hope that you guys enjoyed Seth. Sorry that I was flying solo today, but we'll see you next week here on Press Pass Live. Have a blessed week. Peace.